Check, check. Mic check, mic check.
So, for example, if you can't make it to the lower now, you can go to Windows. Katy Perry's house. Pick up a word. And go back to the answer. So I'm saying can't get all of it, but oh, yeah. Move down. Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, because who's in Windows?
I'm reading this article, but national media, you're panicking our family and friends over Hurricane Jack.
No.
Is that her? No, it's the camp, I think. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. No,
But that's a great article.
True.
My dad called me this morning. I was like, and I called him back on the radio. I was producing an hour of live radio. I'm just busy. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm from here.
Like my dad's girlfriend texted me this morning. I'm working out, I'm watching the news. I'm just checking my email. Like, that was time to answer you. I'm working.
No, yeah, nobody believes her.
I know.
People starting to yanking people out of the house like that. I gotta go through. Nobody's panicking anymore. tourists are paying for that because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
But we was like, man,
I wouldn't want to be a tourist anywhere if there was a hurricane coming there, you know? I wouldn't want to be in the Carolinas doing social fun as a tourist. I would get myself home, you know?
Right.
But
But
for those of us that visit home, we're fine. So,
I don't think I got these many calls in Katrina almost. It's like, really? People said, you okay?
no.
I literally have to stand some water just to.
You know what you have? Flooding Wednesday is going to be worse than anything with
Oh,
storm bridge.
I already predicted that. I was like,
Right.
where's it gonna be a lot worse than
Yeah.
that?
Oh my God, I just got a text. Hey, I hope you're doing okay to the back week.
Right. Uh-oh. I just don't.
Why do you say that?
What?
Anytime you walk in, you gotta walk
Because you
with
walk
that
in.
same smile on page 3 or the 8th floor.
I just did everybody. The same smile.
That's
No, everybody
The
walks in.
Saints game, the flag, not throwing
I'm
the
like,
flag.
you know, we're all in this together.
It looks like some folks are starting to come down now, so the
2029
treatment's probably over.
flooded.
It's a minute to get everyone from up there to like,
Those are the big workers, 2 or 3 working on either side.
but yeah, it looks like they're on their way down.
The sneeze, just a few, nothing serious.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. Still not over it.
No, no,
No, we don't.
Did you ever know these? Oh yeah, I forgot his name. Insurance plan. So I could have his phone since day one. Yeah.
It's smart, you have insurance. You didn't realize you did.
Sorry, I was trying to.
no. Good.
Okay, will do.
Are you gonna send a camera? Oh, they want you on camera, they just want you to voice. Oh,
Do
they want you on camera, they just want you.
No, no, I'm just gonna say, hey, it's starting.
Yeah, you just need to see something on the lead, I think, every week.
Can I do?
I think put it on the mayor's account, yesterday. What numbers to call for emergency and non-emergency?
So you think she reposted it?
It was an original post.
I'm not live set up, I don't know when they're walking out. As soon as this is over.
You can sit here if you.
Max is her husband, but he's take the photo editor as the photo editor. One of the photo editors.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Get right. Go. 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 Carrie, they're here. Carrie, start.
Good morning. Good morning again, and thank you so much for your coverage and the levels of communication with the city of New Orleans. We do appreciate that. Barry is now a Category 1 hurricane. Residents and visitors are encouraged to remain vigilant as the hurricane approaches Louisiana. We are not out of the eye. Well, we're out of the eye, but we're not out of the conditions that will cause heavy rainfall for the city of New Orleans. Although Barry has slowed, it's also intensified, pushing the timing of expected impacts further into today, tonight, and Sunday. While the storm surge risk on our Mississippi River has passed, the primary risk continues to remain heavy rains for the city of New Orleans. As we have done our due diligence and research in regards to the rainfall, like our sister cities have taken on, like Mobile, for example, received 3 to 4 inches of water in 1 hour, and it's consistent. That will be significant for the city of New Orleans, and it's something that we also experienced just this past week. We are not in any way out of the woods, and we will continue to reiterate this today, tonight, and into tomorrow. The expected rain, as you know, could lead to flooding throughout the city of New Orleans, likely today through Sunday. The National Weather Service continues to predict rainfall totals between 10 to 20 inches for the city of New Orleans, with locally higher amounts possible, meaning various neighborhoods may see higher levels of rainfall than others, much like we also saw this past week. The NOPD and New Orleans Fire Department will close flooded roads, underpasses, and interstate exits in low-lying areas. This also remains a focus on the Franklin Avenue exit. Anyone tampering with barricades, understand this is illegal. You are not to tamper with barricades that have been dispersed by the city of New Orleans, any of our partners. High water vehicles and boats remain pre-staged around the city. Should water rescues be needed, again, we're expecting a heavy rain event that will start today through the afternoon, tonight, and into tomorrow. Call 911 for any emergencies only. This is very important. I want to just thank the citizens of New Orleans. You heeded the call and you stayed off of our streets after 8 p.m. last night. We will remain consistent with that message again this evening, asking you to stay off the streets, being prepared to shelter in place. You heeded the call, you did great. And although you may not have seen rainfall as we've been discussing, it is coming our way. So please continue to listen and react accordingly. And we appreciate you so much, I have to say. And it's worth repeating, as you'll hear, I'm sure, throughout this press conference. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to other agencies, as you know, as this is what we do. And I'm going to start with our Director of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness, Mr. Colin Arnold, at this time. Colin?
Morning, everybody. Latest update we just saw before coming in here was that Category 1 Hurricane Barry has made landfall near Morgan City, and we obviously, they're in our thoughts. We've been in the situation before. We're still in the situation with Barry. As the mayor said, Barry is slowed. The timeline is being extended out. We went through a lot of winds last night and a little bit of rain, but there is rain coming, and we've all seen what this looks like to the south. There's a lot of rain, a large mass that is going to be moving into our area potentially this evening and overnight. So I would really just reiterate what the mayor said. Please, continue to hold the course and continue to be prepared and take care of yourselves. Text Barry to 888-777 for updates. We can keep you informed. We'll tell you everything that we know when we know it with these alerts. We've had over 65,000 people sign up in 48 hours, which is terrific. And, continue with your emergency supplies and follow us on social media at NOLA Ready. And you can find us online at ready.nola.gov. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Colin. Colonel Terry Everett, come on up, Colonel.
Thank you, Mayor. I've just got a couple of comments that are very short. One, again, as you've heard me the last 2 days, I want to thank everybody for the support, not only the media and the cooperation we've had from the media, but the state, federal, and local agencies that allow us as employees of this city to design plans meant to take care of our population and our visitors. You, all of you, have done a great job, because yesterday it was proven and last night it was proven you heeded our advice, and you are as much a part of this partnership as we are. And so again, we got about 24 to 36 hours to look, follow your guidance that you're hearing this morning, and again, thank you for your contribution to this great city.
Thank you, Colonel. Calling on Superintendent Sean Ferguson, New Orleans Police Department.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. First off, I would like to thank and commend the citizens, the residents, as well as our visitors in New Orleans. Your cooperation did not go unnoticed. We did not have much of any vehicular or pedestrian traffic last night. But as they have said before me, we are asking you to continue to cooperate with us. We have not made our way completely out of the storm's path, and we are expecting high winds as well as some possible rainfall, significant rainfall. So we're asking you to please continue to cooperate with us. The New Orleans Police Department remains fully staffed to assist and protect the public. We have all hands on deck. We are working 12-hour shifts. We have our boats, generators, as well as our high water vehicles stationed across the city in preparation for any events that we may face within the next 24 to 36 hours. We continue to remind our residents, do not drive on the levees, do not drive through flooded water, do not drive in standing water. Continue to be safe. continue to be smart. Stay in your homes and off the road. As we've seen in the past, many of our streets can quickly become flooded and impassable. Again, we urge you to stay off the roads. Respect all barricaded streets and underpasses, specifically I-610 near Franklin. Just last night, we had the ground level barricades on Franklin near I-610 to be removed by individuals. We're asking you to respect those barricades. They are placed there for a reason. They are placed there for the safety of everyone. So please adhere to those barricaded areas. Next, in case of any emergency or weather conditions that may pick up significantly, just know that we are here to help you, but help us help you. Stay informed through your social media, through your media outlets, and through Ready NOLA. But definitely help us help you, and we will get through this together. Thank you.
Yeah, the men and women of the New Orleans Fire Department are still there. They're fully staffed. They're prepared, and I appreciate their dedication and say thank you to them. As everyone has said here, I'd like to echo thank you to the citizens who have made our job easier by adhering to the warning of stay hunkered down. If what happened this past Wednesday wasn't a stark reminder and a lesson to just how quickly conditions can change, that's what we're talking about here. It's easy for people to look out and say the weather looks good, but you look to our neighbors just to our east, and they're truly getting punished right now with the weather that's coming through. A small shift puts that in our backyard. So please adhere to this warning and be safe. And if this weather does come our way, remember all the warnings that we've been issuing. Be safe with generators, and be safe after the storm when you go out of the hazards that are there, down trees, down power lines. So we ask everyone to continue to cooperate, keep us safe, keep yourself safe, and we thank you for your cooperation to this point.
Thank you, Chief. Dr. Nichols?
Thank you, Mayor. New Orleans EMS is ready, and we recognize that the health of our community requires the involvement of our community. Over the last 24 hours, we have been positively impacted by persons recognizing that 911 is reserved for life-threatening emergencies. I ask that you please continue to do this so that when that critical time arises for you or your loved one, we can get to you in a timely manner. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nichols. Tyrell Morris?
Thank you, Mayor. 911 and 311, the staff at OPCD remain committed and ready. We've been there all night long. We will continue to be there until the community is out of harm's way. As we inch closer and closer to that time, we expect rainfall. We want to reiterate, 911 is for life-threatening emergencies only. To report street flooding, that is an emergency. Please dial 911 to report it so we can advise the citizenry and get responses out there to alleviate the threat. Additionally, 311 is available 24 hours a day. We are asking if you see a energy pole or a power line pole that maybe has not fallen but appears to be moving or appears to may come down, call 311 to report it sooner rather than later so we can bring it to Entergy's attention and they can prevent the fall from happening in the first place. We're here, we're ready, and thank you all, and we're not out of this yet.
Yeah, and Tyrell, just kind of share a bit how we have been communicating with other parishes. We understand, should they get 911, sometimes it's dispatched to us locally, but we're prepared to respond to those and help out our neighbors.
Absolutely. This hurricane is a regional emergency. It's not just New Orleans or Louisiana. And so the 911 system is an infrastructure that crosses from goes from coast to coast. And so when a community is impacted and their 911 system is compromised, the system is designed that call is still answered. That call may come to us here in New Orleans. Here, our trained telecommunicators will provide that help no matter where the call comes in. During Hurricane Harvey, we did receive calls from Houston, so our staff are trained to answer those calls and still provide the emergency dispatch instructions. But again, we've communicated with those areas to pre-coordinate resources, how to get the right resource to them when that call comes.
Thank you so much for that. No problem. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Sheriff Marlon Guzman.
Thank you, Mayor. The Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office remains fully staffed. Our visitation center remains closed. Magistrate Court will be held today at 1 p.m., but the good news is there's only one person attending. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. And Sheriff has been providing food service to, I know Park and Parkways, our employees, so we appreciate you filling in the gap. Our Director, Gassan Corbin, Sewerage and Water Board.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everybody. The Sewage and Water Board remains diligent. We're not letting up. Rain is coming, and we are ready. Not much has changed in terms of status from yesterday, so in interest of brevity, I'm just going to share the one exception, and that is what we alluded to yesterday. We turned on turbine 6, and we transferred power from Entergy to 6, and we are generating power to service all the drinking water operation related to that. So we did that proactively in interest of not taking a chance of having to manage that shift during managing drainage issues. So we're going to remain in that status until the storm is over. I'd like to take a moment today just to maybe add another piece of public education and maybe correct some of misperception about what we believe, having been listening to the public, where there's that misperception that after flooded streets are being watched, and then there's that perception that the water are still and then our pumps are not working. Well, I'm here to tell you that our pumps are working, and it takes a long time for the water to recede, and it may appear that it's still and it's not moving, but in fact it is moving. And I apologize for a rudimentary analogy, but just picture your bathtub after having finished a bath, taking a bath, and then removing that plug from the drain. You don't see that swirling immediately. It takes a while to recede, and until it hits that water gets so low and hits that drain when you see that swirling effect. And believe me, you don't want to see the water in the city swirling at 2 or 3 foot level. You want it to recede very slowly, and then you would typically see it moving or having that swirl effect when it hits the catch basin. So I'm assuring you that there's no correlation with that appearance of stillness with the pump not working. The pumps are working, but it takes time for the water to recede. Thank you.
Thank you. And a good point, Ghassan, is the fact that it's not just about drainage as it relates to the Sewage and Water Board, but it's also access to running water and the ability to flush your toilets. Those things are working as well. Thank you. Okay, Ramsey Green, Deputy CEO of Infrastructure.
Thank you, Mayor. We have a lot of folks working out there right now. Specifically in the last, yesterday, we cleared about 60 tons of debris out of our linear drain lines. That's the sub 36-inch lines. That's a huge amount of work done by the Department of Public Works, getting that huge amount of debris out. That's over 8,400 linear feet of drain lines. We're preparing for street flooding. Big help to both FEMA and the Governor's Office of Homeland Security as we prepare for, in the event that this becomes a reimbursable event as we go through those flood operation preparations. Additionally, the Sanitation Department is out there looking for debris that is out there. They cleared 20 illegal dumping sites and 7 flood debris sites as a result of Wednesday's flooding. We focused the reaction to those 60 tons that we pulled out in the areas where we saw on Wednesday with water that kind of sat there a little bit longer than we liked. That was areas uptown, close to the river, and additionally adjacent to hospitals, Turo and Baptist Hospital, and our EMS operations center, making sure that our public safety partners can get to where they need to go in the event we have an event of size. And you'll be hearing from our operational side as well on sanitation, et cetera. But we did clear, it's a great stat, 5 48-foot trailers of debris related to Wednesday's floods and other dumping.
And how many illegal dumping spaces we found?
20. And if you dump illegally, the Departments of Safety and Permits and Code Enforcement are out there working to ensure that will be responded to appropriately.
Thank you, Ramsey.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Alex Wiggins, Regional Transit Authority.
Thank you, Mayor. The employees at the RTA are on standby and ready to begin moving everyone throughout the region and resuming normal transit operations as soon as weather conditions permit. We are coordinating closely with the city and the Emergency Operations Center, and as soon as weather conditions permit, we will resume service. So the best way to stay informed is to call our ride line, 504-248-3900. I'll say that again, 504-248-3900. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Alex. Colonel Donnelly, Louisiana National Guard.
Thank you, Mayor.
Very impressive still, you know.
Hey, good morning, everyone. As you well know, the National Guard is in place and ready to respond. We have about 3,800 soldiers and airmen that are on duty. That's about 1/3 of the National Guard. The Guard size is about 11,000 between the Army side and the air side. So we got a significant amount of capability on the ground in place where they need to be with all the resources. So we're ready, and hopefully we don't need them, but we got all the things that we need, and I think we're ready for it. The level of coordination with the city and all of the agencies standing behind me has been really great. The communication has gone well. I think we have one common operating picture, and everybody's doing what they need to do to make things happen. So we can be really proud of the city of New Orleans and the mayor and her administration. Things are going great. Thank you. That's
Thank
all
you,
I have.
Colonel. Thank you so much. Okay. Lieutenant Colonel Sears, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Morning, Mayor. No change to our current operations at the Corps. We are continuing to operate 24 hours a day with 60 very dedicated, brilliant folks to ensure that we're safe for this system. The river crested yesterday at 16.9 feet, falling back down to 16.6 feet, which we're fortunate that the river has been draining out a little faster than anticipated, but we also expect it to come back up to 17.1 feet over the next day or so. But after that, we feel that we'll go back down. There are no threats to the levee system at this time. We're very confident that we won't have any issues. There's no change to the spillway operations at Bonnie Carey. We still have 168 bays open, which is spilling approximately 100,000 cubic feet per second. We do not plan to open any more bays. We're continuing not to approve any waivers for construction within the 1,500 feet of the levee, and our engineers remain on standby for any technical support needed for the local area. Any of your questions, I'll have, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Colonel. Okay. We'll go to New Orleans and Company. Christian?
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
We know that we have a large population of visitors still with us for this weather event, and for those that are unaccustomed to this type of thing, now is the time to get familiar with and comfortable with your immediate surroundings. When this weather hits, when it begins, this is not the time for you to go out and sightsee or stock up on party supplies. If you have special needs, get to know your hotel host, ask questions, share your needs with them. To our hotel partners, please share those needs with us. And if you're staying in a short-term rental, now's the time to get to know your neighbor. This is not over. In fact, it's going to begin later this afternoon and go through the night. And just if you cooperate and heed these warnings, sign up for NOLA Ready, you're going to have a safe visit to New Orleans and unforgettable stories to tell when you get home. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin Dolio, Louis Armstrong, International.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, the airport is open. There's no issues with airport terminal or airfield infrastructure. As to flight operations, all airline flight departures for today have been canceled. The airlines anticipate resuming operations tomorrow. When and how much will vary carrier to carrier. And also, as you're hearing, we're not out of the woods with the storm. It will be somewhat reliant on the progress of the storm overnight as well. So we do again encourage all passengers to contact their airlines to get good, current, accurate flight status before proceeding to the airport tomorrow. As far as the airport and its operations, again, unless there's severe flooding, other infrastructure damage to the airport, or loss of commercial power, the airport will be open and available to the air carriers when they're able to resume normal and safe operations. Our Emergency Operations Center is still fully active and staffed 24/7. And we're maintaining close coordination with our airlines and other airport tenants. We're ready to respond to any events as they arise.
Thank you so much. We'll hear from Mr. David Ellis, who is with Entergy.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Entergy's crews are in place and ready to respond as it is safe to do so.
In fact, our electric and gas crews are fully staffed, and we now have additional resources in order to accelerate the restoration efforts once they are underway. To be certain, our crews are out and actively working today, but as the conditions worsen, it may be necessary to delay some of the restoration work until after the weather has receded. Our employees are embedded in our local and state command offices, where they're capturing, conveying critical outage and preliminary assessment information to the crews. And depending on the storm's impact, the restoration efforts could take several days. So we ask for your patience, we ask for your understanding, and we also ask for your information. Continue to make us aware of the emergencies that are in your areas. We also urge all customers to stay informed and to listen to all your local officials for the latest updates and safety information. Safety information such as avoiding downed power lines, very important. Staying out of flooded areas, also very important. And all of that information can be found at EnergyStormCenter.com. Again, that's EnergyStormCenter.com. If you haven't already done so, you should download the free Energy app at EnergyApp.com and sign up for text alerts by texting REG to 368-374. I'll repeat that. Text REG to 368-374. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, and prior to closure, I need to call up Cynthia Sylvain Lear with the Department of Sanitation.
Thank you. The Department of Sanitation workers are out in full force doing as much as they can do before the weather changes and makes it unsafe to do so. But very, very important, a reminder that the city has suspended garbage collection outside of the French Quarters and DDD on today for properties eligible for collection by the city. Those are areas serviced by Richards and Metro. In the French Quarters and DDD, morning collections occurred. There will not be evening collections on today or on tomorrow. We do plan to try to do collections tomorrow morning in the French Quarters and DDD, but please stay tuned. What's very important for persons who will not receive any collections today but were scheduled, please do not put your carts on the curb. With heavy rains, even if it doesn't flood and winds, those carts will tip over. Garbage will end up in the street and in our catch basins. So please secure carts on your property. Even persons who unfortunately were flooded, we are asking, do not put your debris on the curb. That type of debris will clog catch basins. We cannot pick it up until Monday at the very least. Very, very important that citizens also remember that we have closed the recycling drop-off center today on Elysian Fields, so the next event is not until July 27th. River Birch and Gentilly landfills are closed today and will be closed on tomorrow. We want to remind persons, businesses, and properties with 5 units or more that they are not eligible for collection by the city. Not garbage collection, not bulky waste collection, not debris collection. What is very important is that we generally do pick up garbage from small businesses. But currently, this is not new for the storm, businesses are not eligible for bulky waste collection. And we find that persons are putting things on the curb, they must make private arrangements. So if you're in a property with 5 units or more, if you are a business, if you are a hotel, restaurant, or a bar, or if you have unoccupied properties, they are not eligible for collection by the city. Please make private arrangements for the collection and disposal of that debris. Persons who put loose debris on the curb that are businesses, and are not eligible could face visits by safety and permits or code enforcement. We ask all citizens to cooperate with us so we can get through this process as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cynthia. Ms. Ann McDonald, Park and Parkways.
Thank you, Mayor. Since the preliminary impact of this event, Parks and Parkways has responded to 47 various tree emergencies. I thank citizens for staying off the street last night and most of today. It certainly helps our ability to move about the city and address tree emergencies. Continue to call 311 should you see a tree down, a branch down. It works. We get those calls and those notifications immediately. Be specific as you can as possible. Is it a down tree? Is it a down branch? Is there a power line involved? Our partners with Entergy will go out and clear the power line, which makes it safe for us to clear the vegetation. Thank you so much. Stay safe.
Thank you so much. And now I'll call on members of the New Orleans City Council as you wish to come.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you so much for your continued leadership on this particular storm. You know, to quote the Weather Service from earlier today, this is just a really weird storm. It's moving very slowly. In fact, Ben with the Weather Service, he said it's like watching paint dry. But unfortunately, because of that, you know, there's concern that it could be, you know, building as it just sits over the waters. And most of the rain is on that south side, and that's why it's predicted that later tonight we could feel a bigger impact. So I guess my message would be, as you've heard from others, is to just don't let your guard down yet. Who knows what is yet to come, and it could be potentially severe. I also wanted to mention what Deputy CAO Ramsey Green talked about on the illegal dumping, and to remind the public that the City Council recently raised the fines for illegal dumping that impedes our drainage system, and those fines are up to $5,000. So just that reminder as we make sure that the people are doing the right thing out there. Para los que hablan español, nada más quería decirte que esta tormenta que ahora es un huracán es muy rara porque está moviendo muy despacio, o sea que por eso no es tiempo para relajarse, o sea que tienes que todavía estar viendo la tele para ver lo que está pasando con el huracán, porque tal vez la lluvia que es seria tal vez va a venir esta noche. So todavía hay una probabilidad que tal vez va a ser un poquito seria, o sea que ten cuidado. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Councilman Brissett, want to come? You come how you want.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to thank you for your leadership. As you all heard, the greatest risk remains for heavy rainfall and potential flooding. Last night, many residents, I want to thank you all, stayed off the streets. We ask you to do the same tonight. Let us think about all the residents and businesses throughout the state of Louisiana as we all are experiencing this. I want to thank all of the city essential personnel, city employees. It takes a lot to put this plan together. It takes execution and implementation, and that's what you see by local, state, and federal officials. So I ask all the residents, heed all warnings, stay safe, take care of your neighbors, look out for the elderly, and we will get through this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, this has just been an incredible exercise in terms of civic responsibility. It has been amazing to see throughout the entire district the coordination that people have been doing, showing neighbor helping neighbor, and really listening to the administration, the department heads. It's really been a tremendous team effort. This is why we do what we do, and this is why we live in this wonderful city. With that, I also want to say that it's very clear, the message is very clear, the storm is not over yet. We still have to be vigilant. We still have to look out for our property and secure our property. And also that is not just civic responsibility, there's also business and corporate responsibility. So those businesses, especially in the French Quarter, that decide to stay open and in the vicinity of downtown, please also exhibit the same type of responsibility that we have seen through our citizens throughout the district. And again, just for another shout out for Algiers, Thank you, cars, for staying off the levee, but this also means ATVs. So with that being said, y'all please, we're talking about all motorized vehicles, stay off the levee, do not park anywhere near the levee, and a very special thank you to the 4th District, who is really out there enforcing this very clearly. So again, let's keep up the work that we've been doing, and I just want to thank all the citizens and the administration for a fantastic job.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman? Come on.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and particularly for you and your team, been doing a great job. I just want to emphasize a point that we keep on saying, which is staying off the roads and why this is so important. Wednesday, I was one of those people who was stuck for 2-3 hours, not able to get to City Hall, and it's because so many people themselves were trapped by the waters. The problem is not only the safety of yourself, but it's also really for our first responders who need to be able to get to other people. The street on Canal is completely blocked by cars who are rightfully there, parked, so they couldn't get trapped by the flooding waters. But if something happens to a hotel or a major business and the fire department or EMS or the police need to get somewhere, it's really important that we make sure that the streets are clear and everybody's being safe. The other thing is we continue to monitor, of course, all of the council people, the mayor's office, reports that we get for people who are reporting about outages, whether you're in Country Club Gardens or Uptown, we're passing those along. DPW has 29 crews working out right now. Thank you for putting that much power on the streets. And as we've all keep on saying, please stay in place and be safe. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Councilman. Councilwoman?
Yes. Good afternoon. Well, first of all, I just want to thank the mayor and all the emergency personnel. Let me tell you how well coordinated this is, Mayor. Last night I received several phone calls in reference to all sorts of questions. Texted, got to respond right away. This morning, several tree branches fell down in the east. Tex Parks and Parkway and McDonough was on it. So I want to thank for the immediate response to all the emergency needs. Yesterday, Highway 90 was closed. We got it out. We went down there. Families, our friends have made their responsible decision. So just the information being out there so people can make responsible decisions. I really appreciate that. But as many of us has indicated here, it is not over. I drove around the east this morning. I'm still seeing some trash cans out there. So my east, my L9, my Venetian Isle, the city of New Orleans, please bring your trash can in. It's so critical that we adhere to this policy because we do not want anybody to be in the way or having these cans to be damaging any properties at all. One last thing I wanted to say, that I believe in New Orleans, you guys. I believe in New Orleans, and we're going to get through this. The next few hours are going to be very critical. Please be calm and relax and usha. Thank you. Kính thưa quý vị, trong vòng 24 tiếng đến 36 tiếng, bão nó sẽ tới. Cái bão này nó chưa có xong đâu. Xin quý vị nhớ mang thùng rác vào thành phố New Orleans, sẽ không nhận rác ngày hôm nay. Xin quý vị giúp Cindy và đừng có mang rác ra ngoài đường. Xe bus nó sẽ không làm việc tuần này. Xin quý vị cố gắng ở nhà, nếu không cần phải ra ngoài đường thì xin quý vị đừng có ra ngoài đường, ở trong nhà để cho sự an ninh. Cảm ơn quý vị.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman. No problem. All right, Councilman Banks, the closer here.
I'm gonna have to get a shirt with that on it.
I'm gonna get you.
Last night I was at the Hilton and I spoke with some Deltas who are still here from Carolina and Virginia, and said to them that we knew that this thing was going to be bad. Told them it's going to be bad somewhere. Well, so far it has not been bad here, but it's dumped 4 inches of water in Mobile. Now the fact of the matter is that the sun is shining and it's a beautiful day, but we are far from out of this. Now the central theme that you've heard up here today is to not to put your guard down. The fact is that we still have to remain very, very, very focused on the fact that we are not out of this emergency yet. So just because the sun is shining now does not mean that this is past. Now, my very esteemed colleagues have spoken in Spanish and in Vietnamese. I don't know neither one of them. I do know some Houdat though. New Orleans, don't choke. Do not be like that team that was in the Super Bowl and thought the game was over and went home and they did not win. We have to remain focused on this thing until it is done, and it is not done yet. Please remain very, very, very aware of the weather. Watch these news reports. Everybody back here is giving you information that is essential and critical to your safety. Please do not assume that it's done, because it's not. And Cindy's right. We're going to get through this just fine. Who dat?
Who dat? All right now. So that concludes our press conference. You've gotten a lot of information. I know all of it is relevant to the existing conditions that we are having now, but also that we expect. Ms. LaTanya, you want to take us through questions?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Mayor, Mike Pearlstein, WWLC.
Mr. Pearlstein.
Yeah, question for Ramsey Green. You mentioned
Come on, Ramsey.
60 tons of debris removed by your crew. It seems like a large number. Just wondering, what kind of debris are you talking about? Where was it removed? And did that give you any ideas on maybe more regular sweeps during non-emergency times?
So we all of the above is found in those things. You know, anything that can fit into a catch basin, which shockingly, you know, cords, electronic stuff. We saw a shoe. Just was looking at photos late yesterday. Areas we covered: Leonidas, Carrollton, Black Pearl, Ferret, Milan, Irish Channel, Turo Hospital, 7th Ward, Bywater, St. Claude, Baptist Hospital, and Algiers Point. Does that give us a sense on how to do this better on a day-to-day basis? I mean, yeah. I mean, Mike, absolutely. And I think that's what, I don't think, you know, the mayor talks a lot about fair share, and that's a big part of what we're doing. So we don't do this only in an emergency time, but when we have an event like we had on Wednesday, where you see flooding in certain parts where you're like, that's curious, it's our obligation, as we know, if a storm like this is headed this way, is to go and deploy resources based on the intel we gathered on Wednesday, and that's what we did.
Can you say whether, you know, some of that was debris that washed into those catch basins because of Wednesday?
Yeah,
storm?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, but a lot of it had been there. We have a footprint of 72,000 catch basins throughout the city. That equals a huge, you know, amount of lines that are connected. Each one of those catch basins is connected to a smaller line that then goes into the sewage and water board canal system. And, you know, that number goes every day up. We've introduced technology into those trucks, so we know the moment they, you know, within 24 hours of them cleaning it, it goes into a real-time data system. And, but, you know, you clean something 2 weeks ago, you have a flood like you had Wednesday, and a bunch of other stuff goes into it, and that can be a thing.
And just one last question. Just wondering if there's any way to determine how much of a factor that is in perhaps you know, drainage being a little slow, not being able to get through those clogged catch basins.
It's a factor, and there's a lot of modeling that goes into that, and we're looking at those things every day. I mean, every time we have an event, we do a sort of the Mother's Day storm. We still have a project underway where we're looking at, in particular, some of those mid-city thoroughfares where you saw a lot of floodwaters, Bank Street, Jeff Davis, and sort of thinking, okay, what are some things we're finding that are beneath the surface that we don't actually see on the top.
Well, and even as it relates to that footprint Ramsey just talked about, mid-city where UMC and the VA hospital have been built, we're just seeing post-construction. We believe that there's something there that we have to do a deeper dive and to determine what the impacts truly have been to our drainage system relative to those large construction sites. I mean, it's a fact, it's a factor, and we're looking at that. That is consistent. We will continue to do that, whether there's a storm or not. It's all about infrastructure in the city of New Orleans. And this is also why you have heard us repeatedly as it relates to sanitation and the impacts that the garbage cans being set out really did have on the water flow. And so it's common sense, you would think. You block a drain, you're preventing flow. And so with the issues and the challenges that we're living with, we need to just be great stewards and do the responsible thing to help free our drains from debris.
Aubrey Killian, WBSU.
Of the 72,000 catch basins, how many still need to be looked at or have not been cleaned yet this year so far of the 72?
If of the 72,000, you got to remember when we walked in the door May 7th of 2018, a very small percentage of them, in terms of roughly 22,000, have been cleaned, cleared, or repaired. That's and that was in the wake of the August 5th, 2017 event. And so we've aggressively, we've increased roughly 30 to 40% the rate at which we're clearing them without a huge amount of resources to go into it, because we increased some of the budget to DPW maintenance. But part of and this is a part of the fair share agreement is increasing that aggressively, and we're still working on that. But roughly, not as much as we'd like is the answer.
Kind of a estimate number?
Yeah, it's I want to say roughly 30,000 are, we can sort of confidently say, have been addressed in the last 2 to 3 years, and we address more every day.
If I may follow up, is there any plans to possibly add a curfew tonight, tomorrow, at all?
Go ahead, Chief.
So again, there is no curfew. I'll say this again, and again. There is no curfew, but we strongly encourage everyone to shelter indoors, shelter in place.
When you use the terminology curfew, there are additional resources that will need to be triggered with that terminology that we do not have. We have to make sure that our assets relative to the New Orleans Police Department and Fire Department are activated in ways that are more effective for public safety. So what we're leaning on and what we're encouraging our residents to do is to be responsible and to respond to the requests that we're making as public officials. Stay off the street. 8 p.m. is our timeline that we're working with, and also trying to create a level of balance as it relates to our businesses that are tied to the hospitality industry. Okay, thank you.
Jessica Williams, the New Orleans Advocate.
Has anything been decided yet as to whether City Hall and governmental offices will be open on Monday?
At this time, we will, I would say, expect to be open on Monday. However, depending on the impacts of Barry, which are still unknown, we know to expect heavy rainfall, but I would say we will continue to determine, the impacts to the city of New Orleans, to the impacts to our employees, right, because they're residents too, but we will constantly communicate. Any changes, we'll let you know. And thank you for that.
Bo Evans, the New York Times. WWNO, the Washington Post.
I was just wondering if maybe anyone who wants to answer the Army Corps of Engineers or the National Weather Service, could you explain, like scientifically, or why the river forecast initially at 19 feet depressed this morning actually crested last night 17 feet? Do people, how reliable are the forecasts for the river? And if the storm has slowed down, are you confident that the storm surge really is going to be a factor in the river going forward any longer?
Lieutenant Colonel?
Yes, ma'am. I'll attempt to answer. So, as the Mississippi comes down, we saw a spike in it due to water coming over and entering the Mississippi from the Gulf, which basically slows down the Mississippi. So we had a little pressure toward the end of the Mississippi, which raises the Mississippi. That pressure was released through natural processes, and it's gone down to 16.6, the number 16.6. So we anticipate with the rains coming that it will increase, but as far as having that greater additional pressure at the end of the Mississippi, which would rise the Mississippi, currently estimates and forecasts have said we're not going to have that much pressure that would slow down the Mississippi. Sir.
Just to clarify, this was all done naturally. There was no effort to release additional water.
We have the Caribani spillway open. That's been open for a while now, and we didn't do any further openings. So no, sir, just currently status quo.
And it's confident it's not going to rise above the 17.1 estimate on Monday?
Yes, sir. We'll continue to closely monitor it. Mother Nature gets a vote in this, and we remain cautiously optimistic. So if there are any changes, we work with the National Weather Service and NOAA in a combined effort to make sure that we're providing the right data to the people.
Anyone else?
Thank you all so much. We do appreciate you.